Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back to our weekly Q&A with Shaykh Akram Nadwi every Thursday 6 p.m. BST. Thank you for joining us and I hope more of you join later inshallah. And also I hope everyone had a good Eid. Anyone who celebrated on Tuesday or Wednesday or is still celebrating, I hope you've enjoyed your Eid al-Adha. Without any further ado, inshallah, we actually still have a question. So let's go ahead. Just to confirm, Sheikh, you can't hear an echo, can you? Because I can hear
No,
one.
no, that's fine. Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, that should be fine. Okay, let's start with this question from Tapaji Tabassum. And her question is democracy haram in Islam? Could you please explain the reason behind the permissibility or impermissibility?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. One thing we have to understand that in this world there are, something which we call means, and there are something which are ends. Ends are, exactly what, Islam is interested in, that people must attain the ends. About the means, there are some rulings and some teachings which which make clear that what could be some wrong in the means. So we have to understand that, and once we follow the right procedure and get the end, so that actually is no doubt praiseworthy, and Allah Ta'ala loves that. Uh, so what we need in society and also in the state is to get justice and fairness, to treat people justly and with fear, to provide people a peaceful society to where they can live and they worship their Lord properly. That is the end. Why we need a state? Because the state actually, makes sure that people live in the peace and harmony. The people are treated justly. Nobody wrongs anybody. So the laws and order in the society properly. So that is the responsibility of the state, is that the state must provide justice, fairness, keep the society in peace and order everywhere. That's actually what people do. And that what in Islam is. How you make the state, there could be kingship. There have been kings like Dawud al-Islam was a king, and then his son Suleiman became a king. There was the Khilafah system in Islam. Abu Bakr was a Khalifa, Umar was a Khalifa. Then after that, after four Khulafa, again we got kingship, Abbasid and this and that. So among them, there are kings who are good, and they provided, justice and order. And there are kings who did, injustice. So they are not good kings. So similarly, our time we have got democracy. If democracy either means it provides justice and order in the society, social order, and fairness, and let the people worship their Lord and choose their way of life. If democracy helps people for that, then no harm. It's just a means. So whether people have states which is based on democracy or on kingship or on khilafah or on anything like that, as long as it makes sure that people get justice and fairness, we are happy with that, and that is Islamic. But if people don't get justice and fairness, even if they call it khilaf or something else, Islam does not approve that. So real thing is the end. The justice, fairness, people are treated properly, and and the society has got a peace and right order, very very we can function properly. People don't feel any oppression and injustice. If that happens, that is Islamic.
Okay, inshallah. Let's take the next question from Yamina. And her question is, can women travel alone?
So, when we actually the thing is, the laws for the women in Islam are not to deprive them of any good or to stop them to attend from attaining any things which actually is beneficial for them. There's nothing like that. Actually, Islam encourages women to attain all the goods and all the values as men can do. But sometimes in certain societies, women are oppressed, exploited, they are wronged. So when things like that happen, then Islam wants to provide support for them. So they should get all the values, but with the support. Because if they don't have the support, then they'll be deprived. So Islam what encourages them. The women should travel for the knowledge, for the business, for the trade, for all those things that like men do. Many things you cannot get at home. Then you need to travel. Like many women, they want to travel to Middle East to study Arabic language or Islamic study or some for any other secular education or for trade, for business. They want to travel. So Islam never want to stop the women from traveling. But in some societies, women are not respected, and and some those incidents can happen where women are dishonored and something wrong happen. Then in those cases, Islamic instruction is to get help and support. So if the society is peaceful and women are respected and the law are in place, then traveling of the women alone is not a problem. Like for example, I live in Oxford, and if there's a woman in Oxford, she works in London, and she travels there every day on her own, by coach or by train or by car. We don't stop because generally in this country, people respect the women, and traveling of the women alone is safe, and the law can help the women. So if a society is like that, then traveling on their own is not a problem. In the Middle East, for example, cases are not like that. Still women actually, sometimes they are harassed, sometimes there are cases, even a Haramain and Sharifain. So we actually advise the women when they go to Hajj and Umrah or anywhere, they make sure that they either they are accompanied by their male close relatives, which who we call mahram, or the husbands, or some women. There are women who are trustworthy, and if they are together, when they go to haram, they stay in hotel together, then they go to the tawaf together, then everything they go together, then they will be more likely safe. If the women are traveling in some other countries like India, they are not safe. Then I'll say actually the women must be accompanied by a male, man, mahram or husband, someone like that, because there are so many stories and the cases. If people find that these are women alone, even if there's more women, two, three women or one, still they are not safe. So all the law actually is in this matter for the safety of the women, and that why the Prophet ﷺ said that women should travel with the husband and mahram. But when it is safe, he himself said, a time will come when a woman will travel from Iraq, near Iran, from Persia to Haram. She will do tawaf alone, and she will have no fear of anyone other than Allah. So when at times like that, when women travel from Iraq to Hijaz, to Makkah and Medina without any fear, yeah, then they can travel. And that's why some women ask Aisha radiallahu anha, is it obligatory for the women to travel with the mahram? So she was in a time when it was safe for women to travel. So she said, no, do all the women have a mahram and someone to travel? They can, sometimes women don't have somebody to travel with them. So they have to travel alone because it was safe. But if it's not safe, then they must be careful.
And Sheikh, what if a woman's parents or her husband does not give her permission to travel, even if, for example, she wants to travel for beneficial reasons?
Yeah, this is also important really. Sometimes could be the family does not trust. So if they don't trust, then the women actually, be careful, because sometimes you think it is safe, but the people of the house, they know really it's not safe. Maybe they cannot explain to you everything. So women should not think, it is just, taking away from them their liberty or their freedom. No, it could be actually they are thinking for them sincerely, and they think it is not safe for them to travel. But anyway, men should not oppress the women, and they should not starve them unnecessarily. And if the women want to do something good, and they think it is not safe to travel alone, then they should accompany them. Those ulama who say women cannot travel alone, they don't mean that you starve the women. Meaning is that you should travel with them. Like, your daughter wants to study in Egypt, and you think traveling her own on her own is not right, then you go with her. But this reasoning that you don't let her go and you don't travel with her and stop her, that no Imam says. No Imam say like that. The husband and mahram, they should not stop the women from traveling. Either they should let them go on their own if it is safe, And if it is not safe, then they should make a proper arrangement, someone who can go with them.
Okay, that makes sense. Jazakallah khair. The next question is quite interesting from Khalid Mia. His question is, what is the ruling on going to non-segregated weddings to keep family or friend ties? And I think a follow-up question with that is, what classifies as non-segregated? Because sometimes you have a wedding where it's mixed, but maybe the families stay within their table and the women and men that aren't mahram to each other, they don't mix. So does that classify as non-segregated? Is that allowed?
Thing really is, generally, in the wedding parties, people dress well. So, and I think, nobody going to force you to be mixed with the people. So if some men want to be alone with other men, there are tables generally, and you can request and you can sit with those men. Or if there are some people sitting with their families, still you can sit, they are sitting with their family and you can sit there. Actually, Arab people used to have party together. Even the Prophet ﷺ used to attend the parties where the men and women eat together. And if somebody asked Imam Malik, can a woman eat with the other men? He said, yeah, the women and men always have been eating together. But if sometimes people don't wear decent clothes, you have to be away a little bit from them. Control your eyes. That you test for you. Because the thing really is, what is happening in the wedding parties, that what happens everywhere in the society. If you go for shopping, it is same problem. If you are traveling, it is same problem. So this thing that sometimes women don't wear proper clothes, that is not only in wedding party, everywhere is the same thing. You are proper in test all the time. So instead of leaving a wedding party for this reason, you should be controlling yourself. Find a place where you can protect yourself. That is more important. Except somebody alim leader, and he think that if he makes a stand and he says to the people that if you do unnecessarily mixing where the people don't wear proper clothes, I will not attend, and it will make a difference. That they should do, the imams and leaders, they should teach people what is. But let me actually also make one thing clear. I don't understand what people mean by mixing, because mixing does not necessarily mean that men and women together is something haram. People do mix in tawaf as well. People can mix on the way they're they're walking on the road and they're mixing. So not all the mixing are haram. Mixing basically means if they don't wear proper clothes, there are perfume and attraction and something like that, or maybe dancing. Some women dance or men dance together, something like that. Yeah, that you should be careful. But if the women and women in our appropriate clothes, properly dressed, and even if they sit on the same table together, I don't think there's any problem in that.
But Sheikh, just to be clear then, so for example, if there was a wedding where there was mixing in the sense of dancing, men and women dancing together and perfume and dressing up, is this kind of wedding not permissible to attend?
Yeah, to that actually, if especially if you are imam and leader, you should not attend. If you are not imam and leader, and you think really that your not attending will not create a big problem, then you should leave it. Big problem means sometimes the people who do this type of the thing, they are your relative, and if you don't attend, then they will not attend your marriage and they will create a problem. And we don't want people to cut their relations. So you can attend and make sure that you don't stay for longer time and sit somewhere a little far on distance from the people, because we don't want you to boycott the people, because even in our time so much widespread, you can't do this. But if somehow you can make excuse or something like that, that you're busy or something and that will not mind, yeah, then it's fine to leave it.
Okay, inshallah, jazakallah khair. Let's take a question from, apologies, one second, from Farsin. And this question is, how do we judge the deen of a girl that we are going to marry? To what extent are we allowed to compromise when it comes to selecting a girl?
Thing really is, I will advise you, don't look at the religion of the girl, look at your own religion. Men should be worried about their own religion and women should be worried about their own religion. That's a much better for the people. If you start judging other people, it create always problem. have your own religion. And then for the your partner who you're going to marry, man or woman, ask a few things. Like one thing, you don't mind if I follow my religion. you know so if they're happy that you follow your religion, that's fine. you know so even if the person, your wife and your husband, they don't follow the religion, but they are, let you to follow, and they're good character. Husband is someone who provides maintenance for the family. Even if it's not a pious person, does not pray, still you can live. Because if we made the condition that you only can marry a husband who is very pious and follow the religion, and you only can marry a man woman who follow all the religion, then tell me really how many people can marry? Less than 10% Muslims follow religion anyway. 90% don't pray, don't do anything in the religion. So do you want really that people don't get married? So we can't make a rule like that really. I'll say that you follow your religion, and your wife follows her religion, and and let the men do, but they should not interfere. If your wife stops you from prayer, then it is problem. Or your husband stops you from the prayer, that's the problem. That you should ask. That maybe tell just that I'm not questioning your religion, but my way that I pray 5 times a day in the mosque, and I fast. Do you have any problem with that? If they don't mind and they let you practice your religion, I think that's a good person. You should marry people like that.
Okay, inshallah. Let's take a question from Sohlain. And his question is, my question is about musical instruments. Are some instruments like the duff permissible in Islam, but others are not?
Daf basically means like to stable. So I beat this, that is daf. If you beat something from both sides, and especially if it's hollow, make a certain sound, then people say it is haram, or some people say makruh tahrimi. But if it's only one side, like you have got something and you only beat from one side, not the other side. So that what people allow. Some people allow all the musical instruments. In There are people who allow that, but generally I think it is better to avoid that. And I have opinion, it is makruh, could be makruh tahrimi. There are some arguments for that, and especially I think it so much disturbance, and waste your time. It is an entertainment which does not lead you to something good. Sometimes you have entertainment, and after that you are fresh, and you become more serious working. But I don't think actually, listening to the music and or playing the music can make you, to become more active and more fresh. That my thinking is, maybe I'm wrong, real. So if entertainment does not, bring any recreation in you, does not make you more active, so I think it's a waste of time.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Unfortunately, I do not understand this question completely, but Sheikh, maybe you do. Can you please elaborate on Ibn Taymiyyah's notion of detriment and benefit, i.e., some harm needs to happen only if greater benefit comes about?
But that's not Ibn Taymiyyah. Actually, this thing is always from very beginning in Islam, that if there's something haram, and two haram maybe, and one haram can have some benefits, and the other does not have that benefit. So sometimes we choose the haram which has some benefits, can bring something good. So that can happen. Even the Quran has made very clear that Muslims are not allowed to drink wine or eat pig. But if somebody dying out of hunger or out of thirst, and then no water other than wine, and there's no food other than the pig, so then just think really, not eating is more harmful than eating. If you eat haram, it is haram, you get sin. But you can live, and then you can pray, you can fast, you can do all the works. But if you don't eat haram, yeah, you avoid haram, but then you're going to die. Then you can't do other obligation. Nothing can done. So we compare between both of them, and we give fatwa that yeah, when a situation like that happens, you have no food other than haram, then eat, as much which can give you life, and drink as much we can give you some life, and then after that look for the halal. The same thing, in every other matter, really. When you have two choices, one is more evil than the other. So we always say they go for the less evil. So, similarly, for example, a state, which is not very good, the ruler is not very good, does not pray, does not fast. But what happens is he allows the people to pray. He establishes the madrasa and schools, and he brings peace and order in the society, and he defends the country very well. Then we can say really this person is a bad person, but because of him, so many good comes. Other people can follow the good. So people like that, we don't allow people to rebel, because if you rebel, what will come next actually could be more harmful, and actually it can bring disorder in the society. So as long as the ruler keeps order, and peace in the society, even if he's not a pious person, but he lets the people to become pious. He allows people to pray and do the things. So a mind like that, even if it's not ideal, still we can prefer. So that is general rule in the life, not only in the state, anywhere. When you have two choices and both are evil, see which one is less evil. Follow that.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. The next question is quite interesting, and this is it splits up into two messages. So I'll say the next one afterwards. Is divorce destined, or is it just to do with the actions of individuals? If it is a choice and people can control and choose, it would mean that we can control when or who we marry. If it is destined, then why do we end up in a marriage which is not meant to last?
Your questions actually are in a strange question. Thing is, everything destined, but still we have choice. When you eat food, destined. You can't eat a food which Allah does not know, which Allah does not allow you. You can't go beyond Allah's kingdom, but still you choose it. Anything that you do, travel, you talk. Now you're asking this question. Asking this question destined. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written already that you're going to ask this question. But still you had choice whether to ask or not to ask. You know this. If you did not ask, I remember the last time you asked me that you want to have this question because you missed class. So I said to you, when the question session happened, I ask, and now you asked. So don't you see you have choice? So this is another matter really. People don't understand what taqdeer means, qadar means. Qadar means what Allah does, not what you do. You are not responsible for what Allah does. Qadar is Allah's action. Everything Allah by Allah. You are responsible for what you do, but at the same time, you are given a choice. So when you have to have choice between two things, to obey him and not to obey him, if you obey him, you get reward. If you disobey him, you get punishment. Sin. If you choose something good, it is good for you. If you choose something evil, then bad for you. But what you want to choose or what you're going to do, that's all destiny from Allah. That's He does. So don't mix between two things. Allah is the Rabb. As the Rabb, He does whatever He like. But Allah also Allah, a commander. As a commander, He commands you, you must obey Him. So always look what Allah, don't look what Allah does. Look what Allah commands. Simple matter. Allah commands us to eat halal. Then go for halal. Allah commands us to pray. Then go for the, if you don't pray, that's disobedience to Allah. Though it is also qadar. He has written down that you will not pray, but He will not be happy with you. But when you pray, that's also qadar, but He will be happy. So you don't worry what Allah does, because that He knows how to do. We don't know. We listen to His command. If He commands, it means we have choice to do or not to do. Same thing, divorce. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written, people have got choice. Sometimes people divorce wrongly, sometimes justly. Sometimes could be a problem, husband and wife, and they cannot live together. Then they should separate it. Sometimes husband is wrong and he divorced for wrong reason. Sometimes the woman is asked for divorce for wrong reason, and sometimes it could be good reason. So they will be questioned the day of judgment if they're choosing for good or bad. But whatever they have chosen, it is written. It is destiny from Allah. What Allah does, you are not be questioned about that. But what you do, you will be questioned. So if a man divorces his wife wrongly and wants to hurt her, he will be questioned and he'll get punishment. If a wife forces her husband to divorce her wrongly for no reason, she will be questioned and she'll be accountable in the day of judgment. Anybody who wrongs, they will be accountable. Anybody who does good thing, they will see it. Quran said, any smallest, part of good or bad you do, you will see it. Nothing misses you. So don't worry about destiny. Always worry about Allah. Find out what Allah commands. When Allah commands, you always have two choices, whether to obey Him and not to obey Him. He never forces. If you obey Him, you get reward. He become happy. If you don't obey Him, He will not be happy with you. That's what He has made the law. So that's why Quran came. That's why Revelation came. That's why all the prophets and messengers came. That's why we teach. But we don't know the qadr. We have no idea what qadr will be. I'm teaching you here. It is qadr, but I don't know. I am coming here because I think it is my duty. I don't come because I read in Allah's book. It is destined for me or not. No, I don't read any book of Allah. Allah never tells me. I only do because I think it is my responsibility. When I go for the prayer, it's not that I look in the book of Allah, is it destined for me to pray or not? No. I pray because Allah commands me. Always look at Allah's commands. Don't look what Allah has written, because that you never can know.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. And just quickly, one last question, and this is a follow-up question from the previous question about segregation, non-segregation. When you mentioned about during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, men and women would be eating together. Zainab is asking, when you say that men and women were eating together, does it mean that they were socializing or just engaging in the act of eating?
When they are pious people, modest people, when they sit together, they could be talking something, how are you, something like that, so your family, your children, or something like that. They know the limits, their boundaries. But when people exceed the limit, that will haram. So if people start talking, men and women, to each other, and they are not married, out of desire, and they enjoy that, yeah, that will be something disliked, or sometimes could be haram. So that you have to understand. To men and women can eat together, they can sit together, they can talk together, they can, walk together. They can be so many things together. They can do wudu together. They can do so many activities as long as they don't understand their limits and boundaries. But when the desire comes, wrong desire comes, then things can become makruh, and sometimes they can become haram. Then you need to repent and you need to leave that's what you need to do. So that is very important to understand. So we don't stop people from meeting each other, but what we say, understand your limits. Don't never exceed the limit. If a desire comes even between mahram, if a son talks to his mother with a desire, it will be haram. Though mother and son always live together, they travel together, but there are cases when there are wrong relation between son and mother, sometimes between brother and sister. So it will be haram. When desire comes, even actually among the close relatives, it can become haram. So people have to be careful actually. Whenever you eat together, be together, talk together, don't exceed the limit. Understand your limits and boundaries properly and follow that. And if you exceed the limit, Allah knows it. It will have no barakah until you repent. And door of repentance are open for the people.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. I think that will have to be it for today. Jazakumullah khairan everyone for joining us, and for Shaykh Akram for joining us and giving us his time. We will end it there, inshallah. But just a quick announcement. As many of you know, I do mention this at the end of every session, but just one last announcement, and maybe one next week. And that is, if anyone who is maybe new to our Q&As or new to Al-Salam Institute, Shaykh Akram is the principal and co-founder of Al-Salam Institute. Our applications for our Islamic scholarship programs are ending in just over a week. So anyone who wants to better understand Islam, better understand their obligations and how to fulfill them properly, who wants to become closer to the Quran by learning the Arabic language, the foundation in classical Arabic and Islamic sciences is tailored for students of Islamic knowledge who are just beginning their journey in the world of the sacred sciences. So this course provides a solid foundation in Islamic scholarship through part-time study with qualified teachers, including Shaykh Akram Nadwi. So anyone who is interested and maybe they cannot commit to full-time studies, maybe they're working full-time, maybe they're a full-time mother, or maybe they're studying, Al-Salam Institute is the place for you. I studied with Al-Salam Institute in 2016 and it was the best decision ever. So anyone who's interested, please head to the URL under the screen. And this is assalam.ac.uk/Islamic-studies. Other than that, apologies for any questions we didn't get. We will try and answer them next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.